The South African delegation that will represent the country at this year's World Economic Forum is meeting this morning ahead of that all-important global gathering. Leaders in government, business, academia, as well as civil society will look to put final touches to the message that they will be taking to Davos in Switzerland next week. Our business editor, Xolani Mbanjwa, is there this morning. Xolani, very good morning to you. So what is expected to be different this year at this annual gathering?
Good morning, Aldrin. This year is very, very different compared to the previous years that South Africa has sent a delegation to the World Economic Forum. You remember that last year, the main global risk was the risk that was facing a number of investors around the issue of half of the world expected at the beginning of last year to actually go through elections. So there was a lot of uncertainty as to how those elections would pan out, and those risks and those concerns were not actually wrong, because when you look at the election outcomes of even our neighbors, Mozambique, there is still unrest there. So the uncertainty that was there is no longer there. Many of those elections went off without a hitch. This year for South Africa, this message is still the same. South Africa is open for business. We are sending a huge delegation, and this is, of course, under the government of national unity. There's going to be a lot of focus on South Africa from the rest of the world. That is expected because of how South Africa actually handled the elections and how they formed a government so quickly. Also, different to the previous years is that we don't have load shedding anymore as one of the main issues that investors were asking about and concerned about in terms of plowing their money in this country. So when we go to the World Economic Forum next week, we will also be heading the presidency of the G20. So a lot of focus on what South Africa has to offer, and of course one of the biggest delegations of 9 ministers are being taken along with businesses and business leaders in academia, unions and civil society to actually sell the message that South Africa is open for business and put South Africa at the center stage for investment drives on the continent.
Yeah, I think one of the things is also going to be who goes and whether that message is going to be coherent. As you've indicated that we have a government of national unity and there's differences in terms of economic policy. But I guess the government of national unity is being led by the ANC.
Oh yes, of course. We are expecting that the Finance Minister, is going to actually make sure that everybody who is gathered here and who's going to go, and we've been going there for more than 10 years as South Africa to sell the country, and we've done very well. It is about putting South Africa at the center stage of the global chats when it comes to investments. It is about putting South Africa on the map and making sure that for any investor, for any trader, there is South Africa at the top of that agenda, making sure that we are a destination not only for trade but for economic growth, and to make sure that we are in the room. When Newzroom Afrika has been there since 2022. There has always been a huge demand for South African delegations where investors want to know what South Africa has to offer. The number one issue has always been load shedding. We can right now confidently say we have put sort of the issue of load shedding behind us. It's still actually a very contentious and risky issue, but for more than 270 days, we haven't had load shedding. That's something that we can be confident about in terms of the message that we are taking to the rest of the world.